Welcome to another episode of The Other Side of the Story. Again, I'm Sam Raphael, entrepreneur, hotelier in Dominica, and my co-host is Kenny Green, entrepreneur, businessman extraordinaire, and we are here to present to you another interesting episode of The Other Side of the Story. The Other Side of the Story is meant to discuss in detail critical issues that affect the people of Dominica and the wider Caribbean. So normally we bring interesting guests in different areas to discuss a number of topics that are important to you and are relevant to you. Today we are fortunate to have, we're going to have two topics today. And the first one is a shorter version, and we're going to be discussing some things to do with the French West Indies. We have some very wonderful guests here. I'll introduce them in a second. And they're from the French West Indies. They're exciting people with exciting stories and making connections to Dominica to benefit Dominica. And the second part, Kenny and I will have an honest discussion on certain issues that affect you, the people of Dominica. Certainly we'll discuss the energy situation and the cost of fuel. And this is something that is a global crisis. Of course, we make our water in Dominica, but we don't make our fuel in Dominica, so it's imported, and it has to do with the world fuel prices. And it's affecting everyone, every island in the Caribbean, including Guadeloupe in a serious way. I know you had some big strikes there as a result of fuel prices and so on, but especially in the power bill, and people are doing the day pay as you go, and they're seeing their daily bills go up and up and up with this fuel surcharge, because our energy, much of it is generated with diesel, and that price is not in our control in Dominica. It's the control of the world market price. But we'll talk about that because, notwithstanding we have these challenges, you know that, we know that, and we'll talk about maybe some of the ways and as much as we can discuss in terms of some of the solutions. And I'm a member of the DOMLEC board. I'm not going to go into too much detailed deliberation because a lot is being discussed, and there's some initiatives that are going to be undertaken to help to cushion, notwithstanding the fact that it is not in our control, the fuel prices, but there are some things that we can do to maybe help absorb and help to stabilize the situation until we get some relief. So Kenny and I will discuss this on the last half of the program, along with any other issue. Kenny may want to talk about inflation. If you're building something, you're going to find plywood costs X today and it'll cost twice as much tomorrow, and that seems to be the order of the day. So we'll talk about it and see how, as people on an island, maybe on fixed income and not much of an income, it's a reality to us, and what are we doing, what can we do, the government and the people, to mitigate against this. But first and foremost, we have two very special guests. I have chosen the most beautiful one to sit next to me. I let the handsome gentleman sit next to Kenny. Kenny, I'm smart, you see that? Yes. Monopolizing, yes. So we have next to me Raissa Kern.
Indeed, Raissa Kern.
Raissa Kern, and Raissa is with the Chamber of Commerce of Guadeloupe, and we'll get back to that in a second. And sitting next to her is Pedro Pirbacas.
Yes.
And Pedro is a dancehall artist, the foremost dancehall artist in Guadeloupe and Martinique. And he goes by the name KRYS, KRYS. You can Google him and you can get him on YouTube. Yes. And he's got some dynamic videos. And for that matter, in a few days, he will be dropping a big summer hit that he recorded with Dominica's Triple K. So yes, all Dominicans will be looking forward to that big hit. And he is not only a musician, but KRYS is also involved in the music business in terms of the copyright side. And he has some ideas, and not just ideas, he's doing some work on behalf of some artists to try to help them get paid. Because the artists, they have fun when they're doing the music. They get paid for the concert at the time, but that doesn't last forever. And what do you do after, when your music is out there already? How do you get that residual income? The copyright. and ensure that every time your music is played, you know, in the media and so on, it's resold, especially now with internet technology. How do the artists get residual income down the road? And so these are interesting topics that we will discuss. So Kenny, I will let you jump in. Do you want to jump in or you want me to go?
No, you're steering the ship very well. I think it's a good program to have our counterparts both from the Chamber of Commerce and also from the musician and the artist point of view. I think it's really good to have you guys present some fresh angles and also some common problems. So please.
Let's go. Raissa, let's start with you.
Yes.
Because I walked into Jungle Bay that I happen to know the owner of, you know, the other evening, and I saw, this big, like a trade show with all of these beautiful crafts from Dominica and all of this thing. It was so nicely done. And I didn't know because I'd been traveling, and they said that it's the Chamber of Commerce and KRYS was involved and Invest Dominica Authority.
Indeed, yes.
And what was this about? And I was impressed. First of all, I didn't know Dominica produced so many things. I see the things one, but when you put them all together, it's really impressive. And then I understand that you have maybe 40 businesses in Guadeloupe that want to collaborate with Dominican manufacturers to find markets. Of course, the Guadeloupe and Martinique market combined is about 1 million people earning euros. This is huge, huge potential. So tell us what you're doing in Dominica.
Thank you, Sam. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Raissa Kern from the Chamber of Commerce of Guadeloupe, and we work in the export agency. This is called Team France Export. So basically, you know, the French government, they have this office called Business France, and what they want to do is to help French companies to export their services or their products. So initially we started, just to tell you the other side of the story.
Please.
We started thinking that, well, listen, we are in the French Caribbean and we do not do enough business with our closest neighbors. That was the first fact, right? The closest is Dominica. Being Dominica, we started with 2 webinars presenting opportunities for business in Dominica. And that was along with Invest Dominica Authority. After that, we had a lot of requests from entrepreneurs saying that they wanted to come to Dominica and to see what are the possibilities to work together. And I would say to collaborate, that's important, that to collaborate. Because what we understand, and we fight for that as well, even on the French territories, overseas territories, what we want is more equity, or let's say, yes, equity between what is happening for the companies in mainland France and what is happening for our territories. Same for the artists. This is the same objective that you have, you know, that the situation of an artist in France is exactly the same in Guadeloupe, and to go a little bit further, that ideally that it could be the same as well in the rest of the Caribbean, right? Because this is working very, very nicely. So to do that, we help companies indeed to export, and we decided to partnership with Invest Dominica Authority, and they did a tremendous job organizing this trade mission, which is called the French Trade Mission, along with your Chamber of Commerce in Dominica, the DAIC, also with KRYS, which is the Association of Chambers of Commerce of the Caribbean. They have 22 Chambers of Commerce associated, and with those partners and CCI Martinique, the Chamber of Commerce of Martinique, we organized this trip, and we selected really the project that really fit the requests of the Dominican market. And we did this matching with Invest Dominica Authority. So 40 companies were interested. We shortlisted 10 companies. And we had a beautiful opening ceremony at your place, where we have all the remarks from the officials, from the partners.
At Jungle Bay.
At Jungle Bay.
Thank you.
Wonderful place indeed. And we had a fantastic time out there. We've been able to network, we've been able to talk to the press, we've been able to discuss about what we want to do. And what we want to do is to meet companies and to see, as I said, how we can collaborate, how we can either sell our products or services, but also sourcing is important.
So I have 2 quick questions.
Yes.
And this is up Kenny's alley, because Kenny, up until last year, was the president of the Chamber of Commerce of Dominica. So I'm sure he is going to give you the good questions, so I will get mine out front.
Sure.
the first question is, give me some idea of the profile of some of the companies that came, some of the partners that came,
Yes.
so I can see how the collaboration might work with Dominica. I know I talked to one woman who's, you guys set up a meeting with the Jungle Bay. She's into wellness promotion, and I think we'll do some work because we'll be able to attract some visitors to Jungle Bay that want
Yes.
wellness holidays. And this is good for us. This is good.
Yes.
So at least we get a little benefit from that, and I'm sure others. But give me an idea of the different companies and how you think that can work. One, and number two, in these islands, because of our challenge with capacity, we're very good at starting things, but the continuity is often a challenge. And how do we ensure that the structures are put in place? I mean, part of it is the initiative of the person that wants to do business. They have to be on top of it. But what structures in the planning is put in place to improve the likelihood of sustainability of the initiative? So those are the two questions.
Sure.
One is the profile of the partners, and two is what are we doing with the sustainability of this?
Yes, so you were talking about Serenity Island. This is the project
correct,
of
yes.
Mrs. Perrault. And Serenity Island is a platform. You will be able to find all the wellness activities of the Caribbean. Starting with Dominica, because actually she came here to discover different therapies, different ecologies, places where you can really and truly experience serenity, not just sun, sea, and what you usually talk about. Because she is herself very involved in this area, and she realizes, even in Guadeloupe, that there's no one single place where everywhere is listed. And on top of that, of course, you can find the places, but you have a lot of content, articles, vegan options. It's really yoga classes. So that's really a product that would fit, the Dominican market. So that's really something that we were certain about. Then you have also companies involved in renewable energies. You have companies in agro-transformation, in particular with Agro-Trans. So basically, they are currently in Guadeloupe working on transforming, manufacturing raw ingredients like yam, sweet potato, banana, plantain, all of that, and they transform it into flour or ready to use for people who want to cook, basically.
So how does that, because we have a lot of farmers in Dominica, and we have a lot of history of those things.
Yes.
Go from Dominica to mainland France with 60 million people market. How does that benefit? Show me the path.
The value that is added every single step. They say that for Dominica, the interest is obviously that everything that you produce on site is sold. And I would even say that you can even produce more because you know that the demand is there. So that's the first opportunity for the farmers. Then afterward, well, we know that the issue is manufacturing and having all the equipment to ensure, the labeling and the certifications, etc. And this is where this company bring their expertise to the island to be able to market that to the European Union, because he already have all the industrial contacts, right? So the issue today is really to have consistency in the supply. So this is why he came for. Yes.
Is there, sorry to interrupt, I'm curious about a couple of things. Is there not an opportunity, or is there, I would better ask, is there interest in technology transfer? Meaning, rather than simply creating the raw materials and moving up the supply chain, that you bring the mountain to Mohammed, so to speak.
I understand what you mean.
That you bring the equipment here.
Yes.
And you manufacture from here. So that's the first part. The second part is, I know in the past there's been attempts by the OECS to integrate Martinique and Guadeloupe in some form of administrative membership of the OECS.
Yes.
We have this extraordinary situation that we can look across the waters and see Martinique and Guadeloupe from here, but you could not be further away from a business and technical and legal point of view. For trade purposes, exactly.
Yes.
What steps can we take? I think sometimes we go too big. In other words, we try and do the OECS. As you know, within CARICOM, you've got the contradiction, obviously, that our biggest trading partners are Jamaica and Trinidad from a point of serving products into the Eastern Caribbean.
Sure.
And therefore, there is competition between those countries and Guadeloupe and Martinique, because should you enter the frame where you would be part of the CET, you would now be a competitor for the traditional suppliers to this market. But is there an opportunity to just look at Dominica, for example, and how it integrates with Guadeloupe, for example, to form a special relationship that can be expanded into looking at the duties, looking at the supply of equipment, and looking at technology transfer, for example.
Okay, I understand what you mean. First, let me answer to your first question. Yes, the first phase of this project is obviously to bring all the products in Guadeloupe for transformation. But the phase 2 actually is actually bringing this exchange of technology, as you said, because we understand that if we want to have long-lasting relationship, as I said, we need collaboration, not just we come and we buy and we do, but collaboration so that people can learn things. For example, this company in renewable energies, they are willing to train people to build, how is it called?
Wind turbines?
Indeed.
Yes.
From scratch.
I spoke to him, yes. I spoke
He's
to
a
him.
very interesting guy.
Very, very smart.
He lives in Marie-Galante, so right next to you.
Yes.
And he wants to, to help, but not only to help, but to see that, he can bring something.
Yes.
He can bring something, and this is really, fitted for, the land here.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, what can we do to make sure that, at least for Dominica and Guadeloupe it works? Because the OECS, as you said, on different, type of organization, KRYS, or yes, there are a lot of different names.
Yes.
But what we observe is that, let's put it that way, when we are associated member, we are not fully members, and if we want to export our countries, our product into the OCS, we have huge taxes. So obviously, this is complicated. But on the other way, when product from the OECS arrive in Guadeloupe, there is barely no fee, which is a very good point for you.
Yes.
But what we are trying to do, we believe that if there is a balance, if there is more exchanges, because you cannot have a boat coming to one place and leaving empty,
Exactly.
right? So to optimize that, we need to have it both ways.
Bi-directional trade.
So this is obviously political. I believe
Yes.
that our institution, the region from Guadeloupe, the CTM in Martinique need to discuss that. And well, it's not to me to say what they've got to do, but I think we need more integration, and we are thinking about it within the Caribbean. And secondly, perhaps that locally, yes, if we can at least set an example.
Yes.
It needs to be perhaps a private initiative just to show that this model is working. Okay, we can do an experiment and see, okay, it works fine. So why don't we replicate? Sometimes it doesn't come from the government, it comes from private initiative. So perhaps we can just think together how we can put this forward and have just one good example and show the way.
I think you're 100% correct. I also think I've been speaking with Ebenezer about the possibility of more
The French
people
Council.
from
Yes.
the French Council, about more people coming from Martinique and Guadeloupe to live and do business here, which is
Some of them are
again,
interested.
yes, because if you, as you've mentioned, the direction of the traffic is more favorable from our country into the French Caribbean, and we have land and other resources available for leasing and for usage, then it makes sense for some people to find themselves here and bring brands that they can rebuild here, or build new brands which they can export into that market.
Yeah, we can talk about, for example, sugar. There's a sugar company here. There's a rum company here as well.
Yes.
Different example, but indeed, the fact that they came here is that they can understand better the market
Yes.
and what are the possibilities. And this is probably not the first idea they had when they came for the first, on Monday. They had something set in their head, but after a few discussions, understanding how it works and how the people react to what they say, then they readjust, and this is the way to go.
For sustainability, I understand that you are even considering embedding a staff person at the DEIC or something like that that could help?
Well, this
It's
is just a project,
consideration,
yes, at the moment, but we were talking about following up. That's a key
That's correct.
aspect of a mission, train mission. First of all, well, we took the time at the Chamber of Commerce of Guadeloupe to train the company before they come, to make sure that they speak good English, they can introduce themselves, a lot of things, you know, on the legal aspect, on the logistics, on the, even for the banks, all of that. We make sure that they have the basic information before going about Dominica and about how we can track together.
I have to give kudos to the current president of the DIC, Stephen Lander,
Yes.
and also in particular Lizra Fabian, who is the executive director and also serves, has been a champion of KRYS, because they have been core behind this.
You are right.
You know, so it's very important to recognize that. I also want to point out, and coming over to our friend Pedro here, that as part of the movement of, how do you put it?
Once again, put a pin in that quickly. We also want to recognize Invest Dominic.
Oh, sorry, my
Also,
bad.
also, yes.
They
most
did
importantly.
most of the heavy lifting.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
And both the executive director, Rhoda
Rhoda
Joseph,
Joseph.
but also Victor Patrickson,
Yes,
who
we have
was
to
really a champion
And
in putting
Hilmina,
this together.
Augustine as well.
Augustine as well, and
Yeah.
Elias Dupuy.
Yeah, because
Yes,
sometimes people
yes.
think that the only thing Invest Dominica is interested is the big developers that come, you know?
Yeah.
They just want to give, but it's not true. Their mandate is to help the little man and little woman, as we say,
Yes.
small business people, and this is one of the ways. So I just wanted to at least
That's a
honestly acknowledge them.
That's
you know?
good.
You,
That's
and you
good
can
for
continue
pointing
with
that out.
Yeah.
Now, what I wanted to point out with our friend Pedro here.
Chris.
Oh,
The man is Chris. He's a rapper.
that's his brand name.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't mess with that. Is that often we complicate things and we often miss that probably our biggest export is culture and music. And whilst we're talking about the Chamber of Commerce, and that is great because that is something we want to build, we already have a huge export into the Guadeloupe and Martinique markets, especially Guadeloupe, which is Bouillon.
Yes.
Bouillon music. And now you have a collaboration. So whilst our DIC and the Chamber of Commerce in Guadeloupe is trying to get together to collaborate more, we already have collaboration. And Chris, tell us about what you're doing here and the stuff that your album or your single, and give us a view of what you're looking to achieve.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you for having us. Yes, so I introduce myself. My name is Pedro Piabacas, artist name KRYS. I'm a dancehall artist from Guadeloupe. Since 20 years now, because I started when I was
A baby.
yeah. And I have a career. Well, I started in the sound systems, for those who know dancehall movement, in Guadeloupe when I was 15, and then I got opportunities because I started having a big name in the sound systems, and I signed to an independent label, and then I had a contract with Universal. And I did some big arenas in France and Europe. I used to tour in Africa, Canada, all the French-speaking territories. Well, my artist career is going on.
So folks,
And,
I'm going to put a pin in that quickly. Note, when you get through, Google KRYS, Chris on YouTube or whatever,
yeah.
Google or YouTube, and check out his music. It's really amazing stuff. So Chris,
Thank you.
KRYS, let's
Yes,
check him out
thank
and
you.
big him up. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I have like 7 albums, a lot of concerts, and the particularity that I have is that at the same time I was signed to Universal as an artist, so international career, and I was at school because at the same time, yeah, I was in Montpellier Business School, where I completed a master degree in management, and when I finished my studies, the year after I decided to build my own music company, because I was aware of the fact that my friends from Guadeloupe, all the talented artists, they had this talent and the potential to do great careers, but there was not enough structures to professionalize the business and get them to express themselves at the level that they could reach. So I decided I bring my how do you say it in English? I bring my part. I bring my part into
Expertise.
yeah.
Expertise as well. Yeah.
And so I did my own music company, and I start to sign artists. The name of the label is Step Out Productions. Step out because what I want to do basically is to produce music from our culture and export it from the start. I want our music to go worldwide, so that's why it's Step Out Productions. And so I do local music, Creole, but I do also crossover. And into this crossover market, I produce Colonel Réel, and we sold double platinum in France, more than 250,000 album. We have on that album we have like 100 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
Right now, Step Out Production is we have a catalog of 500 songs, and we generate 2 million streams a month. So that's the size of the company. And I developed the business in France from 2009 to 2019. And then when I had my daughter, I decided that I wanted to go back to Guadeloupe. And with my family, and professionally is from my career as an entrepreneur in the music business. I changed a little my view because I wanted really to go more into the structuring, yes, for the other artists, and the work that I'm doing in Guadeloupe and Martinique and the French West Indies, the Chamber of Commerce of Guadeloupe, on behalf of me, is willing to do the offers to artists in Dominica and collaborate with artists from the Caribbean.
That's great. That's really positive, and it's something that's an example. We have a couple of examples here ourselves of people who do the same. We have people like Michael Henderson, and we have Shelly Alfred, who is the lead singer of a band called Signal Band, who just graduated, I believe, from Harvard.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So he is the president of the Association of Music Professionals here.
Cornell Phillips too. He has a studio.
He has a studio, and he's renowned throughout the Caribbean as being probably the foremost keyboard man, especially in the bouillon genre. But that is very positive, and again, I want to salute you for stepping past the stepping past the stereotype, because the musicians are not just artists; they are also business people. They are exporting culture, and they're exporting brands. KRYS, I have a question for you based on the bouillon market. What sells in Guadeloupe? What kind of music? Because I've listened to some of the bouillon. I mean, obviously we have the bouillon here. We're the home, we're the originator. But it's interesting to me what it is that is popular over there. You know, each place has their own dynamics. For example, if you go to Barbados, even to this day, Balance Batty is like their most popular song. But what sells in Guadeloupe, and what are the opportunities for monetizing that music through someone like you? Tell us how it works.
Yes, it's mainly the issue that I'm addressing right now, because bouillon music is doing so good in Guadeloupe at the moment that for me is now the #1 music in Guadeloupe. And I hear, anytime I turn on my radio, I hear bouillon music from Dominica, and I know that the artists, the Dominican artists, don't get all their rights from it, because you have to register to La SACEM to make sure that when your music plays on French media, you get all the income from your intellectual rights. So as a publisher, I have my publishing company, Step Out Productions. I can offer a contract and make sure that the income goes to the artists. And for me, it's a market also, because I've been a publisher for more than 10 years now, and it's a new market because it's a revenue also for my company to be able to take care of this part of the business for the artists and build a new market. But for me, it's like repairing an injustice now, because the money is earned already. So they just have to make sure they work with a professional on the market and to get that income.
So just to clear it up, knowing how SACEM operates, and how the music industry in Guadeloupe operates, they would have all of their lists, their recorded lists of music that they played over, of tracks that they played over the years.
Yeah.
So if an artist were to register now, you can look at the back catalogue of work, of content
You
played
can go to 3 years.
to 3 years
Before,
and look at music and tunes from those these newly registered artists. And of course, maybe you might need to explain to people the difference between the people who sing the songs and the people who write the songs.
Yes.
Because there's issues of intellectual property there. But you're saying 3 years back, and
Yes.
they will be able to, utilizing the relationship with you, be able to recover their revenue.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is good.
So even if they join SACEM now,
Yes.
and their music had been playing for the past 3 years,
Yes.
they would still get the money for that?
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, my friend from Grand Bay, the Bouillon King,
Yeah.
Is ISA registered?
so I don't know if he says registered, but if he's not,
I don't
and
know.
I know he was popular in Guadeloupe,
I've been speaking
so
to
that
this
we
manager.
can-
I don't know
so-
if it's registered.
so he can get, boy, that's
Yes.
good.
Yes.
I don't know, so I think that maybe they are getting it. I mean, I'm sure there is some structure now in place. I don't know how effectively it's working, but that's not what we're here to go back and forth on. But I think that's amazing, that's good. And again, going back to a lot of our young people, so you're a musician when you're young, but you don't stay young forever,
Yes.
Trust me on that, I can tell you.
Yeah,
Try to avoid
because-
getting old, but it happens to you.
We try.
But it's good when you're younger and you're popular and you're hitting it, that you think about your future and saving for yourself and future generations, because that's how you get multi-generational wealth, is when you not only work
Yes.
for what you consume, but you have a catalog of work that your kids and your grandkids can at least have a foundation.
Yes, sir. Because the young artists, when they're touring, they have success, they're touring, they get money from the shows, and they don't think about the other revenues, the other income that they could make from their work. So, but they have to get into it.
Yeah.
We have to do the paperwork and be aware of how the business works to be able to have it. Because once again, it's earned. Yeah.
So have you met with any of the the musical groups here in Dominica, the musicians? Have you met with the Association of Music Professionals, for example?
Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce of Guadeloupe, who organize this trade mission. They organize my meetings with some professionals of music here. I had already met with Triple K because
Yes.
the first approach was artist to artist for the collaboration. But now we had this discussion for their rights, and I can tell that they're interested in it, and it's in their interest.
Yes.
Yes. And I met Colton T, Cornel Phillips, and I'm looking forward to meet more people.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a lot to do.
Another question to you.
And also Mr. McMurray.
Okay, so you met with
Yes.
McMurray, who is the manager of ECHO, which is an alternative copyright protection platform. So that's great. My other question to you is Dominica seen in Guadeloupe as the home of bouillon?
Of course.
Okay. No, that is very important. You say
yes.
so.
Yes, it is.
Because I can tell you there's a conflict here in Dominica about recognizing bouillon as the predominant musical art form. It's not, I don't have that conflict, But we have that conflict, you know, we have calypso, we have cadas, and because mainly of the lyrical content, people tend to turn up their nose at times to bouillon. But I believe bouillon is the present and the future of music in Dominica. I just think we need better writing in some cases, and what you're doing, better collaboration. So my question to you again is, if you look at something like World Creole Music Festival, and you look at bouillon as a product from Dominica, which people in Guadeloupe enjoy and see this as their home, just like Jamaica is already home. Do you think there needs to be more representation, either in the World Creole Music Festival, or to create a separate product that serves just bouillon? Do you think that would be popular? Will people in Guadeloupe buy into that and come to Dominica?
To understand what you're saying is better branding.
So if we make a bouillon festival in
A bouillon
Dominica,
festival.
Yeah.
would people in Guadeloupe and Martinique
they
jump
will
on the
come,
boat
yes,
and
of
come?
course, of course.
They jump on the ferry.
Of course,
They will
but I
jump on
think
the
that
ferry. Wow.
well,
Okay.
what I think as a professional of music, I've been observing success of the songs and the gender, etc. I think that the rhythm of bouillon music and the enjoyment, the bashment, is what the people enjoy the most. And for me, the next level for bouillon music, to the Guadeloupe point of view, to get even better, is artists working on their branding,
Yes.
on their communication.
Yes.
Because I told the artists when I saw them, because I met also with Rio team and Raissa Kern. The people know their music, maybe the name, but they don't really know the artists. And my offer as a publisher and distributor for the French market is also to make sure they get in the medias and they do interviews and they talk about their story and their music and their culture. And I think that doing that work will take the bouillon to another level and make it for a long time on the market.
Yes.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
Kenny, I want to ask you a question because you know more about music in Dominica than I do. He's much younger than me. So that's what I have to ask him. We say bouillon is a Dominica creation, but Dominica is an island. There are people who actually got behind and the creative minds. Who are the creative minds of bouillon?
The creative minds.
Give me the names so that Dominicans can recognize
Well, if
these
you
people.
go back in the history, bouillon really emanated, or it was actualized through WCK. But there's an argument that can go all the way back to Exile 1 and Gordon Henderson.
So it's been an evolution from the original patterns.
Yes.
It's an evolution.
Yes, if you listen to compa, if you listen to a number of different musical genres, what constitutes bouillon has emerged from all of this. But if you want to look at the current definition of bouillon, WCK are the kind
And
of
who were the guys there that?
Now,
who were the guys
Now,
there? that
you
created
always
that?
have to remember the complexities of personalities. I can
But
mention
just give them
I can
credit,
mention
yeah.
I can mention
Certainly
I can
Derek-
mention
Derek
Derek
Raw
Raw Peters,
definitely.
you know, Cornell Fingers Philip,
mm.
and his family, his brother Smokey, etc. And then of course you have Keith Goddard. They were the core people in the bouillon movement. But everybody after that has come along has added to it. I mean, you had people who were not necessarily pure bouillon, but contributed. People like First Serenade. You know, you've had, as I said, Triple K has been a big influence on the genre. And you know, KRYS said it. The beat. I mean, I've said it before. People have given me stick for that. In that, I believe that if you up the lyrical content, you get better writing. Because the beat is so compelling, we hear it right now. I mean, there's not controversy, but there's the observation that Trinidad, nearly all of their soca tunes every year is adopting bouillon rhythms.
Yes.
Okay, so they're using that and then putting the superior brand of people, you know, like Marshall Montano, on top of it, and Patrice Roberts. They're putting the superior brands of these people onto it and packaging it to a wider audience. you obviously have the advantage of having your own wider audience because you've got not just Guadeloupe and Martinique, you've got France and the Francophone countries,
Yes.
you know, in Africa, etc. So I assume that you are looking to take the giants of this local business here, which you can be a giant here and just be a pebble everywhere else, and take them and bring them first to Guadeloupe and Martinique and then to the world. Am I right?
Exactly. This is the strategy. Yes, this is the plan.
Kenny and I, from the other side, we met with 3 musicians. They were Dice, who's Calypso King here, Michael Henderson, and we met Issa Bantan too,
Yes.
that we challenged. So we agreed to support the production of a hit for them.
Yeah.
So we will be the ones to back it, the
Okay.
hit, and they are going to come up with something special with positive lyrics. you know?
Together?
Together,
Yes.
yeah, so a collaboration. So we're looking forward to them. We put the challenge to
So
them.
you already have a distribution deal.
And you're the distributor.
You're the
Yes, sir.
distributor.
Well, here you go. We're halfway there.
I want
That's-
to correct you on something. Dice is the preeminent singer in Dominica.
Okay.
Okay, we associated with Calypso. I want to say that because I want to give Dice the room
He does
to
reggae
be able to
too. Yes.
do everything because
Yeah.
he's also somebody who has tremendous potential to strike forth into.
Michael Henderson has the whole range too.
Yes.
I remember her. She did jazz when I first met her as a kid, and she's gone the whole range.
Well, Michael is different, I think, because Michael is more international already.
Mhm.
I mean, Michael has her own brand in Martinique and Guadeloupe. She has a brand in France, so she's already in many ways independently where some of the other artists want to be. But I think as an industry, you know, KRYS has his work cut out, and it's a good thing.
And Issa Bantan is the bouillon king
Yes.
of Dominica.
Yes.
And if you know bouillon,
Yes.
you know Issa Bantan.
Of
So,
course,
yes,
of course.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then you have Colton T, who is like the crossover reggae, dancehall, and other
My
music forms.
Next collaboration for me is Colton T.
Yes, that would be a good collaboration.
Yeah.
He was one of the mentees of our Well Emerging Entrepreneurship Program, and that's where I first met him. He's a very humble but a very bright young man, and certainly you can tell in his music he's been doing hits for almost a decade, I would say, pretty close to that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I
he
met
started-
Colton T because we used to walk dogs together.
Mm,
And my dog was always trying to kill his dog.
Uh-huh.
So that's how we became friends.
He did a hit ice cream. I remember it was ice cream something, ice cream truck. He's going really, funny but very very catchy, And, yes.
But from the Chamber of Commerce point of view, Lisa, I want to understand, do you believe that there's going to be more demand for more trips like this and also for more Dominican products to enter into your market, independent of the fact that we still need to, iron out the other side, which is the more Guadeloupe and Martinique products coming into this market?
Yes, absolutely, because even the entrepreneurs that are here today, they want to come back. That's the first thing. Secondly, all the companies that are eager to come, those 40 companies, when they will hear about the success of this first collaborative mission with CCI Martinique, CCI Guadeloupe, IDA, DAC, KRYS, and our office, Team France Export en Guadeloupe, actually, obviously they will come to us and ask if they can be first prepared and then come on site and also have the opportunity to meet the entrepreneurs from Dominica. But I have to say that during our mission, we also received some producers, manufacturers from Dominica interested into doing business in Guadeloupe, finding distributors, suitable distributors, and making sure that they have a legal agreement with a contract for security. Because we came along also with some partners, 3 partners. One is actually the HOADAC Center, which is for legal security, arbitration and mediation, to make sure that we can work better together in terms of the contract, because sometimes you're a bit frightened how we're going to do that. They are wonderful people and they advise very well. We also came with a lawyer firm as well, Legal Protect, and also with the logistics consultant, GLC International. So we wanted also the company to be with experts and professionals that could on the spot really answer to their questions, and also answer to the questions on the Dominican companies. So I think this is also this collaboration. It's companies, partners, institutions like us, and all thinking together how we can move this forward. So I think we already have the local television in Guadeloupe Canal who made a nice documentary about that. So I'm pretty sure that I cannot say when, but we will be back for sure.
So let me put you on the spot. Sorry, Sam. I want to put you on the spot with one thing. And if you don't want to answer, it's okay. But I'll hold it against you. Of the products you've seen, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical product, you could tell me it's music, whatever. What do you think has the most potential going from here as an exportable product, commodity service to the Guadeloupe market?
Well, we can talk about cosmetics, we can talk about organic products. In the world and in Guadeloupe and Martinique too, there is a big success for everything that is organic, good for health, that is sustainable. And people are looking for quality ingredients as well, even to manufacture in Guadeloupe, but they need to have, reliable products. And I believe you can provide all of that. So it's really that. And, in the world, in the US, in Canada, all these ethnic shops today, gourmet shop, they develop a lot, and your maracuja, your fruits and vegetables can be used in our factories as well. And in a way, even I know this is the Guadeloupe label on it, but this is also a recognition of Dominican products. So, that's a first step. We cannot say that we can do everything at once, but slowly we understand, where there are opportunities, and I think really it's into the organic sector and the healthy sector. And we saw a lot of nice product, handicraft as well, beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Well, did you see? Sorry.
Well, Dominica is a big spa. The whole island is a spa.
A natural spa.
So naturally, it will be the organic spa
and
products.
tourism. I forgot tourism, about services.
Tourism spa to Dominica is a big spa. So naturally, it's good to hear that. I think what is most exciting to me and fresh and refreshing about this initiative is it started and it is business to business, and it will end business to business, and that's the important thing. It's good you've involved the government of Guadeloupe and the government of Dominica, because they have a vested interest in promoting trade and the economy, and they have the infrastructure to support.
A very reliable partner in West Dominica territory.
And then you have the Chamber of Commerce representing, so you have the individual business to business, you have their support through their Chamber of Commerce, and then you have the biggest support through the government on either side. So I think this is exactly how the system is supposed to work, and I'm very encouraged by it, and I think that that's quite good. You were saying something.
No, I was going to say that we have some specific companies within the DIC, and some others that people like Bees Naturals, or Be Natural.
Be Natural, yeah.
JD's, which is
Joey Peltier has his Moringa product.
So I also want to encourage, again, I don't want to beat this drum too much, the technology transfer, about bringing the equipment over, because it will be to the benefit of the Guadeloupean and Martinique businesses, because one of the issues we have here is capacity. And by bringing orders and not bringing capacity tools, you can actually create a problem for small businesses here, because they're not built initially for the kind of volumes that they could have. But if there's a partnership where you're bringing technology over, then that can be a huge thing for these
That's something that can be looked forward, and I believe that some people will be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
So it's also our role to communicate properly to our market, to our entrepreneurs, to let them know that this is also the expectation of the people from Dominica. So I believe that we have a lot of work to do, but I'm really excited about that because it's been so far, I believe, a good experience for all the entrepreneurs. I mean, we had very nice comments, right? And we had signed contract, we had opportunities. So I'll let you talk about it because it's fantastic.
I wanted to say it before we end because we have a great achievement. Because I signed as a distributor for the French market, Michael Lee's film, Uncivilized.
Yes, Uncivilized,
yeah,
great.
So I'm about to,
congratulations.
with the company, I'm about to distribute the movie. He's coming, I can say, he's coming to a big film festival in Guadeloupe in October.
Wow.
And then the film would be in the cinema.
Wonderful.
And now that we signed the contract, I'm going to see with the contact that I have in television to make sure it's on television also. And first of all, we're going with the French Caribbean, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Guyane, and then France, and then French-speaking countries in Africa.
Beautiful,
yes.
Beautiful. Wow.
So this is a contract that we signed during this
tangible results.
So that not only that, but you also have a world exclusive announcement on the other side of the story. So that's a great thing.
Yes.
And then you're also dropping the summer hit with Triple K,
the song with Triple
collaboration with KRYS.
Yes.
I used to remember when you came and you were shooting the video going down between Scott's Head and and Soufriere, with your little sister and the Jeep, and so I'm excited about that to see the end product, and I'm sure it will be shared with everyone.
What's the name of the song?
The name of the song is Chaque Moon a Moon.
Chaque Moon a Moon.
Chaque Moon a Moon.
Chaque Moon a Moon. Okay.
Everyone gets it.
Is it dancehall? The genre is it dancehall?
It's bouillon.
It's bouillon.
Straight.
It's
my first bouillon song.
Okay.
Triple K.
Beautiful.
How do you see it? And yes, it's on my last album, which name is Oasis. It's on all platforms, Spotify.
So it's already out?
Apple Music. The album is out, yes.
And this hit song is out already too?
It's on the album, but now we are going to start the promotion because we promote one song after the other.
Yes,
so the last single that I have is Lovla, which is on YouTube. LOVLA. We're doing good with more than 1 million views on the video. And after this, the new single is with Triple K, Chaque Moon a Moon.
So we can't show it, we can't play it now until after you drop it?
Yes.
We can play it now?
We can play it now.
Okay.
I give you the file.
Right, so okay guys. So what we will do, we will end this session with that song.
Correct.
So let us start to wind down because time is coming. We do have another session with this program of The Other Side of the Story. But we just want to hear your closing remarks, closing comments, on your part, and what you leave with the Dominica people, both of you.
Yes, I fell in love with Dominica, with the people, with the nature. I feel that the Dominican artists and artists from Guadeloupe were really like brothers.
Yes.
The vibes, the music, the inspiration, the vibe is the same. So I'm so happy that we can collaborate and do some great things, and I'm looking forward to doing all these things. And I have the energy for it, so let's go.
You do.
Congratulations again on your dropping of your single and with the work that you're trying to do to properly make bouillon recognizable as a business and a genre throughout the French and Greater world.
I have to tell you, it's the same work that we have to do in Guadeloupe and Martinique.
Yes.
Because as Raissa told you, I must be fully honest because it's the other side of the story. So
yes,
you need to know. Yes. Well, an artist, a French artist from Guadeloupe is not like a French artist in Paris or Marseille or Montpellier. So first of all, the job that I started 3 years ago in Guadeloupe is really to make sure we have the same opportunities as Guadeloupe from artists from Guadeloupe, Martinique, and it's a continuation. It's like doing this in the Caribbean for me is like the same thing. But I must say that the issue that you have here in Dominica, we have just the same in Guadeloupe and Martinique, and every artist must be aware of what they're doing, of how the business works, and yes, we're together in this.
Okay, and Raissa, what are your parting words with us?
But first of all, I would like to thank all the Dominican people and all the partners, but also the companies from Guadeloupe as well, because they've been amazing during this recognition. And I encourage and I really want to talk to all the entrepreneurs in Guadeloupe just to consider Dominica as a real market with opportunities, because we are so close, and the more we will develop relationship, the more we will be successful together. So this is really an invitation to come to Dominica.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank the two of you on behalf of the other side of the story, and certainly thank you from the people of Dominica. I think we can say that, because the work you're doing is to the benefit of the people of Guadeloupe, the people of Dominica. So we want to thank you so much, and likewise we want to reciprocate and see how we can support the work that you're doing so you can continue to support us. Folks, we have with us our two special guests this evening. We have Raissa Kern from the from the Guadeloupe Chamber of Commerce, and she shared with us the story of the mission and the work that they're doing to collaborate with Dominica businesses. And we know down the road we look forward to ongoing relationship with you. And also we have Pedro Pierbacas. I just know him as KRYS, the artist. And KRYS, thank you so much for what you're sharing, your story as an artist, but more so the work that you're doing behind the scenes with the musicians that can certainly benefit the Dominican artists. And so, folks, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Sam, for your support.
Thank you. We're not going anywhere, so we're going to break this program. We have two issues. We're going to discuss the issue of inflation, especially as it relates to energy and other issues. But we're going to have maybe a session with the Bouillon hit between KRYS and Triple K. We'll drop that now on the other side, and then we'll go on to the rest of the other side of the story.
Je veux m'amuser, tu veux t'amuser, alors allons-y. T'étais confiné, t'as mangé, t'as grossi, ça tombe bien moi aussi. Chaque bon amour, chaque bon bamba, chaque bon amour, chaque femme à bouc, chaque bon bamba, chaque bon amour, c'est qui mon amour, bébé, ouais, sur moi. Chaque bon amour, chaque femme à bouc, chaque bon bamba. Cynthia, hey, it's Mr. Benji, Triple K, KRYS, are you there? La Guadeloupe, la Dominique, sautez, sautez. Feeling the energy, feeling the melody. Pull yourself to me, yeah, yeah. You need a one, show me this, you are
to the other side of the story. We just had a segment, a really interesting segment with KRYS from Guadeloupe, musician, producer, and also the Raissa from the Guadeloupe Chamber of Commerce. And that was a really interesting session, Sam. A really interesting information. Now we want to delve into kind of an extended soapbox and talk about local issues, things that are affecting us, even downstream here from the international issues. And we've got a couple of them. We've got rising energy costs, Sam. We've got inflation. Both the war in Ukraine and other factors, supply chain factors as a creep over from COVID, have caused inflation problems, and they haven't fully hit us yet in the Caribbean. It's a coming storm. And so there are many things that are going to be facing this economy and ordinary people on the ground who, coming into a new school period after the summer, where we're coming into summer and then going into the school period, you've also got, obviously, the hurricane season starting. And so all of these are conflating together to make a very challenging environment for the working class, the ordinary people, in fact, all people in Dominica to be able to function. And that includes small businesses as well. So, Sam, if I want to dive into the energy part, because you're on the board at Domlec, tell us what you guys are looking to do. Is there anything that you can do, given the constantly rising prices of fuel and the knock-on effect for the cost of living?
Yeah. Kenny, as you mentioned, I'm on the Dominic board. Of course, it should be public knowledge. It's a publicly traded company. And certainly matters that are being deliberated before the board, I cannot elaborate on that in public. I'm sure the public will understand. We recently had our AGM as the company, and I think the big announcement that came from that is the company is not able to pay dividends this term. Recently, the government of Dominica bought a holding company that holds the majority shares in Domlec. So the dynamics of that has changed, and some expectations have, come up as a result of that. The reality is, notwithstanding the government owns some shares, it's still a private company that shareholders invested their money in and expect a return on investment. And hopefully, as things progress, the company can get to the position where it will be operating profitably again, and shareholders will get their return on their investment. This is something that we're certainly working towards as a board. We are here to support the company, and that's what I've committed myself, and the other board members have committed themselves to do. Certainly we do realize the situation that we're in. Most people will know, or they may or may not know, that the majority of the generation of our power comes from fossil fuels, from diesel. Some come from hydroelectric. We had the big Padu hydroelectric facility that was damaged severely by Hurricane Maria. That's being repaired. It's about 70% repaired and operating, and we're about 30% more to go, which should be completely repaired sometime in September.
How much of the production depended on Padu previously?
It was always a minority, but it's significant, and it all depends on the rainfall. So this is a technical matter which we'll discuss. Again, I'd like to preface this by saying, Kenny, that Domlec is going to be going out to the public. And Domlec is going to discuss all of these things with the public. And Domlec is going to discuss them with some solutions. So what we can speak to now is the way things are. We can talk about the global situation, the regional situation. But I can assure the public, notwithstanding that Domlec's hands are tied with respect to the cost of fuel, which is a major part of it. When you look at it, it's your fuel surcharge that's just jumping. The cost of petroleum has tripled recently, and it's a globally traded commodity. I mean, we produce rainfall and water in Dominica, but we don't produce gas and diesel. We have to import that, and that's based on a world supply for availability and pricing, and that's the reality. And everyone's got to acknowledge this. It's something that the government can't control, or it's something that no one controls. It's really a global situation. But what the company is doing is, notwithstanding this, trying to find ways in which we can stabilize and bring some relief to the customers of Domlec. And this is something that's very, very important to the company. Like I said, the government owns a majority interest, but we are a private company. We are a monopoly, but we're a private company, and we have customers. That's the users. The users are our customers, and Domlec is concerned about the users getting value for money, and of course we want to have happy customers. I think the company has done remarkably well in improving the delivery of service. I don't know if you will agree with that, but I remember some years ago, power wasn't so consistent as it is now. So a lot of work has been done in the area of safety. We haven't had over the past year, knock on wood, anyone absent for 1 hour as a result of some kind of work-related injury at Domlec. And this is amazing for a company that size. And we've had consistent power, pretty much a very high rate of consistency as opposed to other jurisdictions with small, power systems like ours. So all of this, I think we're pretty good. We're on track. It's not 1,000%, but we're in the right direction. But this cost of fuel and the fuel surcharge is something that the company is trying to work with. I know that there are internal things. We have an innovation committee that we are working specifically on some initiatives to bring relief and some stability to the users of Domlec. I just can ask for patience because we are working on this, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, because this is not something we want to leave for long term. This is the short term. The summer's here. People need to move around. Everyone's saying they're paying as they go, and they're saying, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, their light bill was X for the day. Right now it's Y for the day, and all this surcharge. By the way, some people think that Domlec is making money off of this. It's quite the opposite. Because the arrangement they have with the Independent Regulatory Commission is that they have to pay, the company has to pay a percentage of the surcharge. Mm-hmm. So it's a smaller percentage, but every dollar that you spend in surcharge, there's a percentage that the company has to match. And so it doesn't benefit Domlec at all. Domlec is in the best position when there's no surcharge, and when when you will use more energy, the company will make more profit that way, and then also they don't have to subsidize sort of the surcharge. So all of these things are important, and I just wanted to share this in terms of the innovation that's taking part. Certainly we have geothermal that's scheduled to come in line.
So that's where I wanted to step in, Sam, which is that it seems to me you have a tough balance, because at one end you've got to allay fears that governments take in Domlec doesn't mean that it ceases being a profit-gaining enterprise. And that's important for Dominica to be seen as an investment-friendly country. Correct. It's very important.
And the shareholders honestly put their money in the company. Yeah.
At the same time, as you know, I think I was for the purchase, and I'm still for the purchase, simply because a monopoly utility, in my opinion, for national security reasons, and for those people watching, what do I mean by that? It means that when government is a vested player in the sole utility, it means that if we have another Maria, they can't just say, you know what, screw this, I'm not going to
if it's totally private, they can walk away.
They can just walk away. Government can't walk away from their responsibility as a stakeholder in a monopoly utility or any utility. So that's that.
Plus, Kenny, there's another thing too. You touched on we're going to the geothermal, but the geothermal is being developed by the government.
So that's what I wanted to.
Right.
That's what I want to jump into.
So it would be clumsy if you had the government controlling the geothermal for generation, and you have a private company with distribution on the accounts. So it's good that they're in alignment.
So that's what I want to jump into, which is, don't you think right now it's important for the government of Dominica and Domlec, if they are now a joint party on this, to give even more updates on the geothermal project? Because whilst in the short term you can ease You can do different innovative
Try
measures
to
to try to
stabilize.
stabilize.
Yes.
But these are efforts.
Yeah, the real results are going to come when we start generating this geothermal.
Correct.
That's when we get the
Because
results.
so my opinion on this, which I've looked at it closely enough to think that it's a measured opinion, is that the price of fuel is going to keep on rising.
Correct.
And we haven't hit the toughest time yet.
And there's another thing to not just keep on rising. We may have a supply problem with fuel.
Correct.
Because it's not just price, it's availability too. So
Exactly.
Again, but Dominica is also taking this into account. I just want to say to the public.
Good. So given that, again, coming back to it, that it's really, really important for stakeholders involved to keep updating the public on the kind of project milestone that is the geothermal project.
Well, just to note, it's a government project. It's not a DOMLEC project, so I can't give an update on the geothermal project other than to know, the communication that I've seen on it.
Yes.
I happen to know that World Bank. It's a World Bank funded project,
Yes.
and officials were here last week to specifically look and to add and see how the updates are going. Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they pleased on schedule and so on? And it seems by all indication that the World Bank was pleased with the update on that.
So
and in 2024, sometime in the late summer, it's projected that this geothermal plant is going to be ready to be commissioned.
So can we both agree that it is critical for the government now to up its communication on the geothermal project?
Absolutely.
In the public domain, because that is the long-term salvation we have
Solution,
for
that's correct.
energy security
That's correct.
going forward. Because this situation this year might be the tip of the iceberg with regards to the fuel situation.
Yeah, certainly going into the winter, we know in the northern climates, in the northern countries in the US and Canada and Europe and so on, they use a lot of fuel to heat in the winter. And so supply is an issue now. Come this winter, it will be much worse. We have the war in Ukraine.
Yes.
We don't know how that is going to go. Certainly, if there is some solution there, that's probably going to help. But we've got issues of inflation that seem to be out of control in the US and other places and so on. So it's certainly a belt tightening time for everyone.
And supply side, for the oil producers, it benefits them.
Right.
Because they're making more money
Right.
per the supplied units that they're putting out there.
Correct.
So, Russia has made
He's not in a rush to end
tremendous
this thing with Ukraine because they're making money on it.
they've made a tremendous amount of money. They've made 50% of their annual earnings in the first quarter. You're looking at even places like Qatar. Nigeria is having problems because they're having issues with terrorism, local terrorism, domestic terrorism, and their supply, even though there's a lot of demand for Bonny Light crude, they can't produce enough.
Yeah, the refining problem.
So that takes me on to the next part of the segment, because I know we have limited time. And that is inflation and the cost of living. I want to be blunt about it. This is something that's going to affect everyone in Dominica. It's already affecting everyone because you're starting with energy costs. And
Can I just one last point on energy costs?
Yes,
It's affecting all of us.
of course.
So we sit here at Jungle Bay. I'm not going to say what we're paying for electricity, but if your electricity bill doubled, mine's doubled also. And we're paying probably 100 times, 200 times what the average person's paying. And we're coming off COVID, we're still there. It's a very difficult time, not just for individual, the single mom or the family, also for business. And I want everyone to know that.
Correct.
And I would like to see relief and stability for the ratepayers, but certainly for myself. So we all have a vested interest in finding solutions for this.
Good.
But yeah, your point with respect to inflation.
Because it starts with fuel. It starts with fuel.
Right now we have issues of people, the people can't put gas in their car, because it's so expensive. And people now need to recognize that we have to take some personal responsibility first off, Kenny.
And you know, there are different things. If I had to look at a template for some of the things that we could recommend,
but make some recommendations.
So let's look at a template. I don't want the average listener, viewer to think that I'm recommending this solely based on these events. But if you look at what happened after Hurricane Maria,
Right.
we were left in a situation where shortages of different items and the inability to access certain things forced us into certain
More innovative
measures
yeah.
to be able to survive.
Exactly.
And one of those things is to amalgamate or to join together or cooperate in your transportation.
Right.
We often have people, well, there are two sides to this. There's the buses. Many of us don't use buses, okay? And you may have a bus that's going down half full or 3/4 full, and you've got 10 people driving down solely in their
The only
vehicles.
person in the car.
Yes. And I think people have to consider what the cost benefit is going to be to traveling, especially from rural and near rural areas, traveling to town on their own when they could take a bus ride.
At least they should take the bus, public transportation, or at least carpool.
Yes.
If you've got an event, sometimes we have events and we see the parking lot is full and 90% of the people come, it's individual in a car.
Yes.
What a waste,
Yes.
you know? You
Yes.
got people coming from your village, figure out who's coming, you know, and agree today one person will drive and everyone will ride. Maybe it may take, you know, somebody have to stop somewhere and drop off, so on and so forth. But we're going to have to alter our behavior in order to help to carry us through. We're going to have to, in terms of the food, we had talked about it, food costs are spiraling. You know, my chef comes and says, you know, today the chicken wings, you know, how much, and he's holding his head, you know, because food costs are going up. Well, we need to find ways in which we go back, like we said, hurricane mode. What did we do then? We went to our backyard gardens. And this has to be not just something
We went to the ground provisions rather than into, you know, the rice and the flour.
And it's better for us anyway.
Yes, but even more so, it actually helps the local economy. Now there's a flip side to this. Our local farmers, our local vendors have to recognize that this is not a time to gouge. It's very, very important that this happens, because if there's a fair price locally and people see the benefit of buying local sweet potatoes, local yam, local dasheen, as against going to the supermarkets and buying rice and buying flour, etc., then they will partake.
But the supermarkets would probably want to acquire from the local farmers
as well, yes.
So that
is true.
They can keep their money
That's
going.
true, but we do have farmers market in Dominica. So there is that aspect of things. We also coming back to behavior patterns. More people are these days working from home. Well, that creates a lot of pressure on your own bills, because even if you're working from home and you're expensing it to a company, for example, you still have an expense cycle which you have to pay out for a bill for. So one of the things that people can think of, and we did it by accident during Maria, is if you've got a house where you can accommodate 3 people in different rooms and you're in the same neighborhood, to utilize the internet rather than all of you having your own individual setups, then use it. Because we did have that thing where people were actually sharing resources. So it may seem like overkill to start to speak about this now, guys, but in 6 months' time, this conversation will become much more useful. In terms of our pricing, we also know that there's a supply chain issue, and that supply chain issue has not been solved yet. You've had, you know, the Shanghai has only recently opened. You know, the Chinese have also taken a huge focus internally. So looking at the supply chain and shipping costs are not going to go down for a while.
Right.
Which means that when shipping costs go up, then the price of your commodities go up. So it's very important for people to make decisions, even with the purchasing, to make smart purchasing decisions. It may be buying wholesale and breaking bulk internal to their own households, or it may mean, as I said, going more local, looking at more local produced items and making sure, hopefully, that our local producers are actually producing more to meet up with demand.
So we all need to do this, starting on the individual basis in the home, and then we go to companies and where we meet, even if it's a church. You know, I mean, I know churches in other places where they buy in bulk and bring in stuff and they distribute, and we have to find ways that even, and certainly the government, and I'm sure they're going to be doing their part because they're going to be feeling the pressure from the public.
So Sam, Sam, do you
frustrating.
think in the communication we're making right now, we are creating not a panic, but a sense of doom in what we're saying?
I hope we're not, Kenny, because I'm hopeful, and these are cyclical things that happen, but we have to be honest and we have to let people know if we see something coming, we shouldn't always be talking about, you know, positive and good spins on things. We have to be realistic with the public. And this is not a partisan political issue at all, quite the opposite. This is a global crisis that we're dealing with. So put the partisan politics aside, and maybe it's a good time for us to start focusing on some of the real solutions that affect people, and how can people take control of the situation ahead of time, do proper planning, because we need to plan. Listen, if we tell you, and if you know you're going to face a crisis, you know, don't wait for the last minute. You know, take it from. Try to find solutions and recognize that it may get worse before it gets better. That is where all the forecasting is, that we don't know with this inflation and and how that's going to affect things. We've got issues of banking and finance, rising interest rates. We've got the issue of transportation, that is a major factor. Adding that, a major part of that is the cost of fuel and energy. And when you put all of those things together, folks, you know, it's not likely that it's just going to get better. It doesn't happen magically. And so now that we know we're going to be facing a rather challenging time, we don't know how long this is going to be, it's best that we alter our behavior, we modify it however we can, and begin planning so that we can...
Costs are going up across the board. I had a friend who came in last evening on Inter-Caribbean from St. Lucia. A 20-minute flight to Dominica, $1,000 return. EC.
Yeah, well, fuel price, huh, Kenny? The plane
Fuel
doesn't
price
fly.
on- fuel
The plane
price-
don't fly on water.
Fuel
They
price
have
or
to-
not,
Yeah.
those costs will keep on rising.
For a while.
For a
yeah,
while.
yeah. Because this is just the summer.
Yeah.
Over the next 6 months, and you know, the airline has to pay what the suppliers say they have to pay.
On an optimistic note, I note that there's tremendous demand and tremendous interest in World Creole Music Festival. I think we may even have a situation where multiple flights may have to be put on, and which is ironic because it'd be coming from the United States, whereas it may be more difficult for someone in St. Lucia to afford the whole flight. And
Well, hopefully we'll have the ferry back on stream full time, and you know, the ferry does go as far as St. Lucia, and
Yes,
it can
it
go
does.
as far as Antigua, and
Yeah.
you know, in between. So we just talked to our artist there, and he's even thinking that a bouillon festival, you know, maybe there may be.
we just have to own it here.
Right.
And it's, you know,
but that's
it's-
a potential, and other things in the arts and so on. Certainly, American Airline on the Plus, they added a flight to Dominica 2 days a week. They then went to 3 days a week, and before we knew it, it was daily. And now they're looking at doing flights, you know, more than once a day going into the winter.
Specifically for times like KRYS Festival, which is going to
Well, for the winter.
Yes.
For the winter, they're looking at that. So this is very encouraging. The tourism numbers should come up, and you know, when we talk tourism, people think it's just guests staying in the hotel, but the hotels have to buy from the folks that farm, especially, and we would hope Dominican hotels, you know, have an affinity for locally
But even-
produced things,
even when you look
and
at-
then it just keeps spreading.
Even when you look at people like Wi-Fi and his setup in Soufriere. When you look all of the different what they call cottage enterprises that are focused on the hotels, from the tour guides to the meal producers,
to
the
the hot springs in the valley, to you just go on and on.
There's a lot of follow-on from there, and I'm also hoping, Sam, and you're very, very close to tourism, or so my boy says. If it would be good again for the Ministry of Tourism to give quarterly updates on the numbers, if not just do an annual bang to get an idea of
how it's moving,
in terms of the numbers. To give an update to the people, because we are seeing it, but in some cases we're not, because a lot of the people are coming in and going to Airbnbs. So whilst they're having an effect, it's not like directly related to your hotel footfall or Kempinski's footfall or Fortune's footfall. In a lot of cases, it's people who are coming here and having a real impact by purchasing internal to the
that's
economy.
not being captured in the
That's
statistics.
not being captured in the statistics.
There's something also with respect to the trade. The PM mentioned it last week with the French West Indies, and we're not capturing all of the commercial activity that's going on, because some of the things, some of the business is done informally. I think at the end, if we get the results, if people feel the relief in their pockets, that's the important thing. And Kenny, we guys, we're still gonna live. We're gonna be okay, but it's just we need to take these things seriously, and we need to really focus and not take anything for granted. We need to not waste, for sure, and we need to save as much as we can and band together and see how we can come up with innovative.
And this is not just going to be a problem for Dominicans in Dominica. It's going to be a problem for Dominicans and for people everywhere. And so it's going to affect remittances. It's going to affect basically all of your planning. It's something that people need to take seriously. But above everything else, I think we have to be able to take the things that are under our control and utilize them as best as we can.
Okay. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in and for checking out the other side of the story. We were fortunate to have some very special guests on this segment. We had folks from the Guadeloupe area, an entertainer, and also a business person with the music industry. And we had someone from the Guadeloupe Chamber of Commerce. They're doing some interesting things to help boost commerce in Dominica to our benefit. Kenny, it was indeed an interesting time having a chat with you afterwards on the issue of inflation, and in particular with energy. As I suggested, the DOMLEC will be going out. They'll be coming out with regular updates and letting the public know the proactive steps that are being taken to mitigate the issue of rising energy costs. That's affecting all of us, and we just encourage people to make smart decisions, to be prudent as we go forward. Everyone is going to have to tighten their belts a bit, but it doesn't mean that we should, be despondent or discouraged by it. There's still optimism going forward and down the road, so let us embrace this challenge with smart decisions and with positivity, and work together to solve these issues. So again, I want to thank you. Kenny, you want to wind down and close?
Yes, a great show. I'd like to get people to tune in to our YouTube page, The Other Side of the Story, where whilst you're hearing us on radio as a podcast, we actually have a video attached to this program. So we're live on video on the YouTube page, and also you can hear the same show through the Facebook page, though the Facebook page is a link through to our YouTube page. We normally give bio previews of each show 1 to 2 days before we air. So please tune in to the YouTube page, like it, distribute it, and we are looking forward to some really interesting topics. I think you're going to get a chance to slam Sam, so to speak, or me on different issues in the next few weeks, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.